Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for all of that. One of our cameras and or internet or something flaked out on us here, so I apologize. For those of you guys that are watching, welcome back, and I hope to answer all of your questions. Today I had actually talked about, or I had planned on talking to you guys about WISP, Written Information Security Program, or policy, depending on how you read it. So a WISP is effectively the document that you use to tell your team what you expect from them as far as information security. It can be as detailed or I apologize. The whole thing with the internet kind of messed me up here, and I had a whole thing going and everything else. So sincerely, guys, for those of you watching, appreciate you hanging out. WISP, it's your base policy. It's the policy that you use to say, okay, these are the other policies that we're going to have. This is how we are going to manage our information security program. It is the governing policy that starts off your information security systems. It is typically going to be end user facing. This is not something that you hide behind your IT guy. This is something that you have to do for all of everybody's going to sign off on it, and they're going to sign it every year. Just to remind them as to what you are doing as far as information security goes. Other policies that this policy will reference are things like your password policy, your acceptable usage policy, your mobile device management policy. Those kind of things will be referenced from your first policy, your WISP. This is how you govern your information security from an end user perspective. It sets the expectations of what the end users are going to do for you, and how you're going to manage them, and how you're going to manage the IT infrastructure and what they expect, what you expect them to do. There are policies that are not end user facing, such as you should probably have a policy that says, hey, an inventory policy. You have to maintain an IT inventory. This is your first end user facing policy. This is the one that you need to have all your new employees sign. This is the one that you have to have every of your employees sign every year to remind them, hey, you have to live to these expectations. It sets some definitions. It sets some expectations. And you can kind of go from there. A lot of small businesses don't have a WISP. That's not abnormal, not a bad thing. But in today's day and age, with the increased cybersecurity threats and everything else going on, really can't deploy cybersecurity prevention mechanisms without actually defining what your policies and what your expectations are. So a prime example would be the password policy, which is reflected in the WISP. Do you want to have 14 character passwords or 8 character passwords? Well, if you don't want any passwords, then you have to document that. If your password policy says 14 and your people are using 8, you're not living up to your policy. So getting those expectations out there is exactly what this is about. And then as a company, you can manage those expectations. Some companies want 14 character passwords. That actually is, by the way, the recommended new password length. But most companies will not live with that. They would rather have 8. So you change the policy based off of your risk and what you expect your company, your employees to live by. So there is no one policy that fits all. You have to actually manage to your company. I can't just send you my policy and say, here, this will work for you. It won't. You have to manage to your policy, to your company. Some companies, for example, require 2-factor authentication for their VPN. I don't have VPN at my company because all of my stuff is very much in the cloud. So instead of enabling and writing the policy to enable 2-factor for the VPN, we write the policy that says we enable two-factor for all of the following cloud applications that we use. And then we even make it a little more vague for all cloud applications now and or future that BKS could use, right? So if those of you guys that have 10-man offices with no server and everything is stored in SharePoint or Google Drive, you don't say I need a VPN password. You say you have a Google Drive two-factor authentication. So those are the bases of these policies that you start with, and you start with the WISP, Written Information Security Policy. Some people say program, but it is how you are going to lay everything else out from there. It defines your roles, HR, partner, customer, vendor, those kind of things. It takes some time. It takes some thought. Like I said, you just can't hear the policy, just go deploy it. You have to actually have management to read it. Okay, can we live with these policy terms? Then you have the employees sign it, and then you have management and IT and employees actually have to live by it, govern to it, manage it. Sometimes that might be creating a document and sign off. Other times it might be deploying technology. But you have to manage to that policy. As far as who should write the policy, that's a tough one. Typically, it's going to fall a lot on the IT guy or girl, pardon me, because it's information security, right? That's not abnormal, although I will push back a little bit, and it actually needs to be a team, typically, and it should have an IT person, an HR person, and some type of management team with it. So if that means that you're going to have your CIO, Chief Information Officer, your CFO, your Chief Financial Officer, your CHO, your Chief HR Officer, and they're as a team going to write it, perfect team. If you're going to have your IT guy write it, understand that he or she is going, and I say he, I apologize. They're going to need your guidance from your HR team and your accounting department and your senior management. You're setting culture. You're saying in this policy what some of the culture points of your company are going to be. And I don't know any business owner that doesn't want to really have a strong grasp on the culture that they have in their company. Now, everybody's culture is different. There's no good, bad, or indifferent, or good or bad or cultures. But remember, if your culture says that you are very trusting of your employees and that you don't worry about your data, then don't put a password policy that is 36 characters long. That's going against your culture. If you're a very secure company and you're worried about your data, don't put a four-character password in there. You know, you have to manage to your culture and understand your company. That's kind of the gist of it, the beginning of it. If anybody would like a copy of, or would, like some ideas on how to get started with a WISP, I'd be glad. Just, drop me a line at BKS systems on social media. Be glad to respond back to you and help you out. If anybody would like to have us help you write some policies, we would be happy to do that. We have done it. Yes, we take some time doing it, but we have the gist of how to write a policy, so we can sometimes get it done a little bit faster than you can if you just kind of go after it. Yes, you can find templates on the internet. There's a million of them. If you Google search WISP template, I recommend Google searching a few, then making sure you read the ones and make sure it fits your company and your culture. Like I said, too secure could hurt your culture. Too insecure could hurt your pocketbook. So you kind of have to find that middle ground and figure out where you want to go. as a company. Don't have a lot of questions posted up here today, so I'm hoping that maybe someday, if somebody's got anything, feel free to comment out here. But that being said, next week I got some cool stuff. We are actually going to have a guest next week. Tom Nanninga from Midwest HR and I are going to be discussing work from home. Both of us wrote a blog and posted it last week about work from home policies and procedures. He wrote it from an HR standpoint, and we wrote it from an IT standpoint. And both of our blogs got a lot of attention last week. Tom is a BKS partner. We use their HR services, and they use our IT services. So we're going to get together next week, and we're going to kind of go over WFH, work from home, and what we have seen that's been successful and what we've seen that's not been successful since the beginning of COVID and everything else. It is going to be a conversation about work from home as a business as a whole, not specifically trying to wrap it around COVID. Although right now the conversation is coming back up because of all the parents that are having to figure out how to work from home again because of school starting up. So if you have questions about work from home, love to see them. Tom and I will be on around 1:00 next Wednesday afternoon. We'll be on for about 20-30 minutes, and we'll be happy to answer questions. If you have any you'd love to ask ahead of time, we can post them up there and get going on it. And we will be happy to provide you information that hopefully will continue moving you down the road. In the meantime, check out WISP. Does your company have one? Should it have one? Well, the answer to that one's yeah. But go look for one. If your HR company comes back and says, we don't have a WISP, or your IT company comes back and says, we've never heard of a WISP, give us a call. We'll help you write one. We highly recommend that you have a beginning and an end, and you start working towards those policies. So until we see you guys next week, I appreciate the hanging with us. I apologize for the little technical delay. I actually am going to have to test some of this stuff that we've got some new equipment, and I think it brought down our internet a little bit. So maybe you'll see me go live and delete over the next couple of days while I get ready, so I can make sure that Tom comes on and we have everything, all the technical glitches worked out. So, yep, even IT guys sometimes have technical glitches. So thank you guys all very much. Can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Like I said, follow us at BKS-Systems on Facebook and LinkedIn. Post some questions up there. We'll be glad to answer them, and we will answer if you have any work from home policy, procedure, security questions, both HR and IT. Post them up there so we can answer them for you guys next week. In the meantime, for those of you guys around the Chicago area that are watching, enjoy the beautiful weather we have today and tomorrow, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys very much, and have a great day.